Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Q Zone, your free channel for passing the ASQ CQM exam. In our previous presentation, we have covered Chapter 1A, Lesson 1 to 5. Today, we're gonna cover organizational cultures and management hierarchy and influence on the organization. Organizational cultures. It is defined as the underlying beliefs, assumptions, values, and ways of interacting that contribute to the unique social and psychological environment of an organization. Cultures may include performance, decision making, atmosphere, team approach, or the way people collaborate with each other, structure, which includes hierarchy, fluidity, feedback, communication styles, which include clarity, preferences, patterns. So, why is it important to understand organizational culture? It is important because organizational culture may be a competitive advantage or or a liability. It may be an opportunity or a risk. We have three levels of organizational cultures. Before defining them, please have a look at this photo of an iceberg, which is divided into three parts. The upper part, which is called artifacts, the middle part, which is the values, and the lower, hidden, unseen part, which is called assumptions. Now, going back to organizational culture, it is divided into three levels: artifacts, espoused values, underlying values, or assumptions. Artifacts is the part of culture that you can see. It is the visible environment, including architectural technology, office layouts, anything that you can see is called artifacts. Espoused values are things that you cannot see directly, like the values, beliefs, strategies, goals. You can observe them, but not directly. And the third level is the underlying values or assumptions, where you assume it is there. You cannot see it, you're just assuming it is there. It is not observed. People are unaware of it, like unconscious beliefs, predictions, and beliefs. For example, you think that this company is not good. So you think, you are assuming, you're not sure about it. This might not be true. It might not be there. So let's have example on each level. Artifacts values. Examples are working hours, where you can see it directly. Benefits such as parkings, cafeteria, kitchens. Degree of emphasis of automation. You can see that there directly. How much automation is used in this organization. Names and titles of the people. Dress code. Formalities or informalities in speaking. The other level is espoused values, which you can see indirectly, like mission statement, codes of ethics, commitment to excellence. You need to go get the policy or the document to read it to know that it is there. Acknowledged principles to treat interested parties. Slogan, commitment to customer satisfaction. You can see it, but indirectly. You need to go and follow the document to see this. And the third level is underlying values or assumptions, where you assume it is there, but it might not be. Examples are actually shared and followed, where you follow things, but you're just following it. You don't know if it is there or not. It is not documented, it's not a policy. Misaligned with espoused values, unwritten but widely known. Beliefs, values, and thoughts, they are just beliefs, they are only thoughts. It's not there. It might be true and it might be not. Beliefs for how we operate. It is not a procedure, it's not a stated or a written procedure, it's just a belief. That was the three levels of organizational cultures. National cultures. Another approach to cultures is called national cultures, which is important to understand. The set of norms, behaviors, beliefs, and customs that exist within the population or a nation. So, this is a cultural difference based on populations or nations. Managers must be aware of cultural differences. So, to understand this more, let's first have a look at Hofstede's study. Hofstede made a study on 160,000 employees of one company in 60 countries to better understand the cultural difference. The results of Hofstede's work were distilled into six value framework. Let's see this six value framework and how they might affect the organization. So the first value was power distance, accepting superiors' powers. He noticed that some nations will accept the superiors' powers, other nations do not accept it. They want to be the boss. They want to be managers. Masculinity versus femininity, which means males versus females, or the acceptance of males to females in the same working environment. Some nations would accept it, other nations may less accept it. Individualism versus collectivism, wants to work alone or like to work in a team. Yes, this is true. Some nations like to work in a team, other nations do not like to work in a team. Uncertainty avoidance, like to be clear and certain. Some nations have a high level of uncertainty avoidance, while other nations have a high level of uncertainty. Long term versus short term thinking or planning. Indulgence versus restraint. Gets what he wants without thinking of the price. Thinking before he gets. So let's see what was the result of this study. As you can see in this table, it shows that for the power distance, the Chinese nation has a high ability to work with power distance, while the UK has a low percentage of working with power distance. Individualism versus collectivism. Australia has a high percentage, while South Korea has a low percentage. Masculinity versus femininity. Chinese people like to work in a mixed environment between men and women, while South Korea do not. Uncertainty avoidance. South Korea has a high percentage of uncertainty avoidance while Singapore have a low percentage. Long-term orientation. Australian people do not think for long term, while South Korea 100% all people think and plan for a long term. Indulgence versus resistance, Australia 71, while China is 24. Another approach to organizational cultures is organizational subcultures. These are subcultures that are created inside the organization. They are smaller groups within a large organization that share their own distinct values, norms, beliefs, and behaviors. And I believe everyone at his working place, university, or school have seen such subcultures. Examples are occupational subcultures. For example, in the university, you see that the teachers and the doctors are gathering together while the juniors are gathering together. Occupational subcultures. Socioeconomic groups where the rich people gather together and form their groups. On the other hand, the less rich or the poor have their own subculture or their own group. Gender subcultures, where we see it mostly everywhere, where the men make groups together and the ladies make groups together. Age groups, old men are sitting together while the young guys are playing basket or football. Generational subcultures, which is subcultures based on generations. Ethnic and racial subcultures. That was all for organization culture, but we still need to know the process to diagnose and align the organizational culture with strategic objectives. So when a manager have objectives, these cultures might affect his objectives, how he can process this. Provide clarity in the business goals. A manager has to be clear to everyone what the goals are. Ensure that elements of the strategy are clarified to everyone. Diagnose the current culture. A manager must diagnose the current culture, identify the cultural gaps, and design a method to close these gaps. If this was not done, the manager will have a difficulty reaching his business goals. Now we're gonna talk about management hierarchy and influence on the organization. Top management is responsible for providing direction in defining the vision, mission, strategies, goal, substructures, policies, system, and objectives. Managing the boundaries between organization and its major stakeholders, such as investors, business partners, and the communities. Another responsibility for top management is strategic objectives or setting strategic objectives. Leadership of a particular part of organization is also a top management responsibility. Middle managers are responsible for policies and procedures necessary for achieving the vision, mission, goals, and strategic objectives. Day to day communication and decision making. Leadership of a particular part of the organization. Now, the first level supervisors, which is the line management, are responsible for overseeing the workforce, dealing empathetically with the concerns and problems of the workers, communicate the vision, mission, principles, strategic objectives of the organization, assure their work unit to respond appropriately to those objectives and monitor accordingly, accountable of the quality and quantity of product and service required. Gentlemen, thank you for attending. Our next presentation will be Chapter 2, Leadership Challenges. If you're interested, please follow us.